In this video, we will talk about the weight fluctuations and how you can still look good, whether you're losing weight or gaining weight, and what's the process of actually you looking the best you can possibly can, regardless of where you are in your weight loss or your weight gain. Let's talk about it now. I put on significant amount of weight, significant for me, and obviously that's different for other people as well. I was going to do a lot of exercises, but I didn't. And of course what I've noticed is that my side adjuster on trousers are actually starting to become looser and looser and looser. And I haven't had that for a while. And I thought it would be a good idea to actually talk about it right now, talking to you about that. And it reminds me how frequently my readers, my listeners, my clients, my future clients, are actually ask about such a fluctuation in weight and how to deal with that and deal with all those fluctuations when commissioning a bespoke and made-to-measure clothing, even some of the ready-to-wear. So let's discuss this right now, because I think it's something loads of you are going to find interesting. So such changes to your body could be actually frustrating. You know, I find particularly annoying how it not just make things loose or tight, but actually changing your posture as well. So obviously if you build in your upper body and you know, your chest and your shoulders going up, then of course the entire body slightly changes and shifts, and you know, you're taking the stomach more in, and all of a sudden that's looser as well. So it's not only about centimeters, but it's also about how your body changes with conditions. You know, for example, your posture, and you naturally kind of, when you stand up and you kind of more athletic and you've been to the gym for last month, you kind of open up a bit. And your center of balance, center of gravity as well. So it could mean that your jacket can kind of slightly shift forwards and backwards, so it kind of creates those spaces. And obviously pushing your collar back as well of the jacket, so that creates wrinkles. There's lots of things to take into account when you're actually losing or gaining weight. But it's not all that doom and gloom, so bear with me and we try to figure it out the best way forward. So let's focus on the belly first. So losing or gaining weight on your belly is the most common problem for men especially. You know, as it affects kind of both the waist and also waist of the trousers, also probably slightly the seat, and of course the jacket where the buttons obviously are getting buttoned. That's where your waist is obviously affected by that. And you can actually notice it first. So first of all, when you lose weight, you actually start seeing that on the waist of your trousers. So that's why the side adjusters come in very handy. And I highly recommend you to actually think about that when you're going to be creating something made to measure or bespoke, even better. Make sure it has got side adjusters. Just a side note in general, like think about not to actually create belt loops when you're creating your custom-made trousers, because think about it for a second. The belt has been created and exists because our trousers need to stay up. So the belt prevents the trousers from sliding down, right? That's the point of the belt. But imagine if the trousers are actually made to you and you don't have to use the belt. Why would you have belt loops? You wouldn't. Hence, I highly encourage you, when you're actually making something bespoke or made to measure, make sure it hasn't got belt loops. Side adjusters is the way to go. Promise me? So also in general, when we talk about tailoring, there is, if your body slightly change, and let's say you've been to the gym and you're thinking of, okay, maybe my upper body, my shoulder's going to be bigger, and and I have to adjust for that. Usually tailoring is kind of accommodating some of that. Not all of it, but some of that. So when you actually gonna try the jacket on or the coat on, and it's done on you, and then you kind of slim down or gain muscle, usually there is, I would say, size in there for you to play with. So all of a sudden, if you have been going to the gym a lot, you're not gonna see a lot change on your chest or shoulder, because otherwise, you know, I mean, if you've got massive gains within a month, you're going to probably see that. But otherwise, you're not. All you're going to see that in the waist and the seat and where the button meet on your jacket. That's where you're going to find out and notice that first. But having said that, extreme gains in muscle, I kind of could be a bit of a bigger problem long term if you are thinking of completely change your lifestyle, and you had, let's say, 50 long kind of size made-to-measure jackets, made-to-measure trousers, and all of a sudden you're gaining loads over the years. That fundamentally changes the way your garment is going to be made. So I suggest then to perhaps start fresh, start new, and not trying to fix something. But if you are one of those guys who go into the gym regularly and actually are thinking about whether they should get something made to measure, custom made, in my opinion, the best option is to go for it and do it and see how much of a difference that's going to make to you, and how much of a difference you're actually going to see in the way people see you in a suit. Because if you never have the suit done and you start and go to the gym and you get some success in terms of losing weight, all of a sudden you put that suit on and it just looks better on you. And I'm obviously here to help you as well in that process. You can do it yourself. You can ask experts like myself to help you with that. But don't worry, don't stress out if it's all of a sudden too much of a task. Just come and see me and we'll find out the best, absolutely 100% best fitting suit on you, regardless where you are in your journey, whether you're just about to lose or whether you gained some, right? So in terms of how to deal with weight changes, it certainly makes sense to go to one of us, one of me, a tailor near you, or a shirt maker. Don't forget that you can have your shirts done here on the Bespoke Shirt Club. I link below, as well as going to be in the description, our club for bespoke shirts, where we measure you once, and then as we every month send you a shirt, we actually can make those slight adjustments so the shirt is always perfect as you go along. But you can do that at any tailor alteration places. They can probably adjust or make you a new shirt or slightly adjust your current shirts. Also, what I hear a lot of people saying, so they probably come to me, we talk shop and we talk about what's possible, and they say, okay, I'll come back to you when I lose weight. And if you think of losing loads, then wait until you lose it and then come to me. But if it's a wedding, I would say, and you know there is a strict deadline, sort of do as much work possible as you can. Come, let's say, halfway there to me, and then we can actually do it. So don't actually wait until you get the perfect weight, because most likely that's going to be too close to your wedding or to your big event. I would say come to me before that happens, maybe halfway through. So let's say if you start in January, the wedding is in June, come to me in March. Does that make sense? It also puzzles me slightly when men say that they are concerned that any sort of bespoke or made-to-measure garment has little capacity to actually deal with changes in body shape, because this is exactly what made-to-measure is for. There is enough allowances within the seam to actually let out or definitely take in. Any good seamstress, any good tailor can actually do these for you, probably free of charge or for a small cost, especially if that's their garment they've created for you. I wouldn't, if I was you, I would not be worried about it too much. I would say the biggest challenge is for you to get to the weight you want, and then we can kind of look into create something that it's perfect for now, but has got enough inlay so you can always let it out. It's different with ready to wear, because usually ready to wear, why is it that Bespoke has got a bit more inlay than ready to wear? Obviously because it comes from different world. you know, a world where we know that garments can change or should change with you. So, you know, with the fact that people changes over time, all of that kind of been taken into consideration when creating your made-to-measure suit, because generally speaking, that suit should last you years, right? So don't think about that just because it's made to measure and it costs, let's say, £1,000. All of a sudden it means that if I gain weight or lose weight, all of a sudden it's not going to be wearable. Absolutely not. That cloth, that garment should last you years. And also, made to measure and bespoke garments will actually flatter your physique. It's going to make your physique look more in line with where you are. In a sense, you've gained 5 kilograms. You won't be able to see that very much in the made-to-measure garments, because when they're done right, they usually have got enough allowances for you to move, whereas very often you'd see those ready-to-wear suits where the guys would be very skinny, very tight, and that's a type of suit. And I also do those for my football players, for my guys who keep and stay in shape, but it's very difficult to then let it out, because we obviously take it in as much as we can, as much as is physically possible. And then when they gain weight, which never happens for football players, for instance, you know, they haven't got that problem. They haven't got a normal people's problem like me and you have. Think about it as well that a lot of things on a made-to-measure jacket is made by hand, or, you know, at least been finished by hand. So you will have very much padded shoulders or chest, or pieces that are created in a way that, again, could be worn hundreds of times, perhaps even thousands of times. So imagine if you do that and you wear a suit every 2 or 3 days. All of a sudden, those price per wear is going to be super low. And that's when you have to think about made to measure, bespoke versus ready to wear, right? You know, you can see behind me there our ready to wear collection as well. So this is a very slim fit, something that we've been developing over the last few months. And it's arranged that it's available right now. So you can go in, come in here, buy it, and I'll adjust it on you whilst you kind of wait. So that could take a day, and then you collect it the day after, you know, next day. But these is only kind of limited amount. We've got limited space here, so obviously I wouldn't have racks and racks of ready to wear. We still very much predominantly made to measure, bespoke people, and that's where we want to be. This is for people who haven't got time, who are basically waiting for next Tuesday to happen to then realize that they need some suit because they haven't been thinking about it. So then we can come in and actually help them to choose the right suit and make sure it's pinned on them, make sure it's ready, make sure it's good. Whereas obviously no one can make a suit in 2 days. And also those new to made to measure sometimes don't appreciate the difference between the tightness at the back and the front, and they think that all of the garments would have to be like extremely tight. What I'm trying to create when I'm creating made-to-measure jackets for people especially is allow them to move and allow them to think about, or not think about, the fact that they're wearing a suit. Suit should not be uncomfortable, and we have to make sure we understand this, and we have to make sure we're okay with that. So for instance, if I see that at the waist, the button is definitely pulling, you know, I would probably let it out slightly. There is a room to spare. Don't think it's going to be too loose if I do that, because usually it means that it's too comfortable, because you've noticed that already. So obviously it's going to bother you if we leave it like that. And you know, I can move buttons even on the ready finished garments. I can move buttons slightly, and that will allow the entire suit to kind of open up slightly, which means that the entire suit circumference is going to be all of a sudden a lot looser and easier to wear. So there are lots of things we can do. We can even slim the darts up front on the jacket, just to show that extra little bit of you know, of tightness if we want. If let's say someone has got a, you know, tiny waist but kind of bigger hip and bigger chest, we can use the front darts to kind of create that curve that everyone wants, right? So all of that can lead to a jacket being comfortable in the waist, while it's still having the shape and still have the back sort of nicely rounded. And that's what guys want. The guys want just look good, and that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of my clients. I want them to feel and look amazing, and made to measure garments can do just that. So just to summarize, I think a lot of guys are afraid of made to measure just because they think that it's because we've got a garment that is made for them. If they change posture, the garment will have to be recut and redone, and that obviously that costs money. I think it's nothing further out from the truth. I think if you look at the made to measure and what's possible and how we've been able to change sizes, you know, 2 or 3 sizes down or up from, let's say, a bespoke garment has been made for his father, and now he's inheriting that, coming to see us, and then reshaping the entire thing with our seamstress. It's just beyond just normal fast fashion clothing that you've seen on a high street. It has got that weight to it, which I absolutely love. And I highly encourage you, and I wish that on you, that when you are ready for made to measure, when you listen and watching this video and listen to the audio, you're going to be thinking that this is something you want to do, that this is something you want to be participating in and be part of, because it's a magical world that I'm actually inviting you to be part of. Whether that's with me, great, let's do something together. But if it's not, don't worry. I mean, any made to measure specialist would be able to kind of advise you enough, and they can do it most likely a lot better than any guy in the shop. And just create one and see what happens, because you'll be blown away with the results. So also, I always say this when it comes to money, because money is important to everyone. This is how we live our lives. That maybe spending £1,000, £800 on a suit is not something that you can do at the moment. But think about price per wear, and I'm a huge believer of that. If you buy a garment that you're going to wear once or twice or 3 times, the price per wear is really high, even though you pay 100 quid for it or 200 quid. If you think about £1,000 and you wear it 100 times, the price per wear is really low. And that's how you have to think about your garments. Not to say that how do we price compliments? How do we price the fact that someone comes to you and says, you look amazing? How much does that cost? How much is that worth to you? And that's how you have to think about your made-to-measure garments. I'm also training for marathon, for half marathon. So why is that important? Why I'm bringing this in conversation? Because I know I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to lose probably, as I said to you, probably my waist. There was a bit of fat there, so I'm going to lose that. So maybe you're doing something similar. Maybe you want that routine that you are about to lose it. I'm excited about this. I'm excited. I'm sort of training for that. But I'm also thinking about and planning for the future. I'm also thinking of making a new garment for myself. I'm most likely going to be sort of sizing down and do the side adjusters, what I said to you, so I can actually have maybe a size or 2 difference if I go fatter or slimmer. So that's going to be exciting. And think about Bespoke and made to measure as a way to adapt to your life. It should be part of your life. It should be part of what you do. Bespoke garments should be the thing that you are entering into and grow with. So over the next 5 to 10 years, you actually got yourself 5 to 10 different suits, and they hang in nicely in your wardrobe. And every time you want something special, you pull that out, you try it on, and you become this different person just because you've tried on a garment that is just made to you, and it's made with passion, and it's something that you don't normally get on any other products, that it's not actually specifically made to you. It's an amazing feeling, and I encourage you to start thinking about this. So hope that was useful. Hope it was something that allows you to think about the weight and fluctuations and how all of that information I just gave you is relevant to what you're trying to do. If you're thinking about maybe creating something for yourself, whether that's ready to wear or made to measure or bespoke, think about two things. One is price per wear, so how much you're paying for that and how many times you're going to be wearing that. And the second thing is actually the ability to enter into this magical world of made to measure or bespoke. Because those garments that we're going to create or you're going to create with someone else, they most likely going to last you forever. And I mean forever, probably 10 years. And that's enough to say, oh, I don't fancy this anymore. I want to try something new, even though the garment is still looking good on you. So if your weight fluctuates, made to measure is actually the way to go because you can let it out and take it in quite easily. You have to be slightly more careful when it comes to ready to wear because the inlay of fabric is not that big, but you can still kind of survive it. So I guess whatever your budget is, wherever you are in your life at the moment, there is always a good garment that you should be thinking about and perhaps a garment that you should invest in. So let me know if I could help you anyhow. Leave a comment just below. Let me know. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching.